Do you ever get the feeling that there's more going on than what you see going on? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with Tim in the Torah, day number 3 of Torah portion Vayigash, and let's go to Bereshit or Genesis chapter number 45. The very first verse here says that Joseph is unable to restrain himself any longer, and he is ready to be revealed now to his brothers. So he sends everyone else out. There is no one there but he and his family. This is going to be a private revelation, even though his weeping is heard throughout the palace complex, it would seem. There's more going on in this chapter than what you actually read in the lines. There are little nuggets of insights, I think, about what may be taking place in our day. Joseph has come finally to a place where he says, I'm tired of proving these men. I think I have seen enough. I've just heard the compassionate, compelling speech of my brother Yehuda. He has poured out his being, and he's offered to stay here and to suffer the punishment for which I am trying to exact out of Benjamin. He's willing to trade his life for his brother, and neither one are guilty. Seeing then that the sibling rivalry and the jealousy between sons of different mothers have stopped, it would seem that something else is of a greater importance. If we could only learn this lesson. We have spent in the Hebraic roots community some 2 decades or more, arguing and debating in public and private forums. We have wrote one another off. We have divided ourselves. We have lost people. We have fractured relationships. We've accomplished very little in the way of reconciliation and restoration with one another, let alone with the house of Yehuda. Yeshua oftentimes in his parables would relate to a management situation. And in these parables, he would condemn those that manage badly, who do not turn an increased return for that which they were offered, or else they beat servants, or they mismanage the affairs of the master while he was away. Then he would commend those that had remained faithful, that were watching, that were dutiful, even when they could have misbehaved or mismanaged and gotten by with it. They did what they were called to do, and they were rewarded. Are you and I going to be commended or condemned? And I have to say, as a whole, the Hebraic roots movement has failed to be as fruitful as we have had the opportunity to be. All is not without hope, however. We still have time. There is still a moment of time in front of us. We still have a season. We can make some changes, and it's going to take some bitter weeping, such as we see exhibited by Joseph. This man is heartbroken. He has been estranged from his family and not heard one word from them, it would seem, for 22 years. Sometimes the sages ask, well, why didn't he write home? Well, I don't know that they had the mail carrier service instituted in those days that could have been relied upon. And perhaps he felt abandoned and overlooked by his family. Maybe he was asking the question, why hasn't Daddy come looking for me? And out of a bitterness in his soul, he is willing to resign himself to the lifestyle and the culture of Mitzrayim, remaining faithful to who he knows himself to be, but nonetheless, I am what I am where I am. There's nothing else that can be done. Make the best of a bad situation. So he looks at his brothers and says, Ani Yosef, I am Joseph. To their dumbfounded amazement, they look at this Mitzrayite man. They see his lips moving and forming Hebrew words, and they are so awestruck over it They're not making the connection. And he comes and he draws closer to them and he says, Ani Yosef, I am your brother as my father's still alive. I don't know what may have been going through these men's minds at this moment. Guilt, condemnation, shame, embarrassment, fear that Joseph is going to have Mitzrite soldiers come in and fall upon them with their swords. What is going to happen? The last days that you and I are looking at fill us with these same emotions. How will we stand? What will we do? This last year of COVID lockdowns and restrictions and orders and changes of culture and loss of work, people doing without, well, have no fear, $600 is on the way. We're looking at fraud, we're looking at misery, we're looking at deception. We're looking at people on television and news media and videos, and we see their lips moving, and we know they're lying to us while they're yet speaking. They hold title, they hold prestige, they have position, and we know that we're being fed lies, and we feel powerless to do anything about it. What's going to happen? We live in fear, we live with condemnation, we live with shame, we live with embarrassment. We don't understand what's going to happen next. So we're really not so different than these 11 brothers standing before Joseph at this moment. But the common heart that we have here with our movement, with the body of Messiah that is still found in church ranks, with our Jewish brothers who are a part of Judaism, so we have a love for the Father. It is Yah, our Father, that draws and binds our hearts together. And as long as that is true, there is hope for restoration, for reconciliation, for the renewal of the family. Rashaul writes in the book of Ephesians, chapter number 2, something that oftentimes is overlooked. It says in verse number 18, because through him, that is through Messiah, we both have access to the Father by one Spirit. Whether we agree with those who are still sitting on a church pew doctrinally or not over some issue, whether we agree with our Jewish brothers sitting in a synagogue over some doctrinal issue or not, the reality is that by the same Ruach HaKodesh, the same Holy Spirit, we are being drawn to the heart of the Father. If we are honest, our journey is not perfect. We like to boast to ourselves that our journey is more perfect than anyone else's, but really, have we taken a good examining look at ourselves recently? The hope of Yah is through reconciliation of the family, by being real with one another. Joseph finally, I suppose, I'm reading between the lines. It doesn't say that he did this, but in my imagination, he may have taken off the Mitzrite viceroy's headgear, his head decorations, maybe wiped off some of his makeup. I don't know. But he would have revealed himself to them enough, plainly enough, with tears in his eyes, trembling in his lips. I'm your brother. I'm your brother. So I say to those who are where we used to be, I'm your brother. And to those who are of the house of Yehudah, whether you're ready to accept me or not, I don't know. But in my heart, I'm your brother. And we all should look to our Messiah, the one we know, the one we're anticipating, and say, lead us to the Father. Bring us back to the Father. and join us again with reconciliation and restoration to be a family. Be encouraged. Thank you for hitting the like button, for subscribing, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.